All right, let me show you a really, really cool card trick. We're going to use two decks. We'll use this deck here in a minute. Take this deck. I'm going to make a prediction of what's going to happen much later on. And the way I'm going to do it is in a unique way. I'm going to take this deck. This is actually going to cost me to do this trick. It's going to cost me one joker. I got to burn a joker to do this. What I mean is I'm going to go through this deck. I'm going to find the jokers. Where are they? I'm going to find the jokers, and I'm going to be so committed to my prediction, I'm actually going to write it on the face of one of the jokers here, okay? So let me get the pen. I'm going to write something down. I'm going to commit to my prediction before we even start the trick, which we're going to do with an entirely different deck. So I'm going to write something here. Let's see if I can remember. What I want to do here is, let's see. Okay. This will make sense here. Bear with me. It's kind of a long sentence, I guess. Okay. All right. So now the trick is to do this without getting ink on my fingers. There we go. And I've committed to a prediction so seriously that I destroyed a joker in this deck to do it. Okay. So what we're going to do, in fact, we're just going to bury this into the deck so I can't get to it. We're going to put it inside the box. My prediction written on the face of the black and white joker. We'll put the color joker there. Now we can do the trick. Here's what's amazing. So we're going to keep that out in full view the whole time. Have somebody hold that deck if you want, whatever. But the whole time that's going to be there. We're going to take this deck of cards and make sure it's all mixed up. By the way, this is a cool deck. This is the Worker Edition Honeybee. That's not a commercial. I'm just saying I like that deck. It's really a good deck. In fact, it's really a good shuffler. Look at this. I like when decks shuffle that smoothly, and this one certainly does. Go this way with it. There's something about that feels good. It sounds right. I don't know. Anyway, the deck can be completely shuffled by you and or the audience member. You tell your spectator you're actually gonna make all the decisions in this trick. You're going to decide how many cards we work with and which cards we work with and what order they're in, for that matter. Okay, here's what I mean. I'm going to start putting cards down on the table. We've shuffled the deck. They've shuffled the deck too. I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a pile, kind of like one for you, one for me kind of a thing. And I'm going to do this until you tell me to stop. And they can stop you wherever they want to. So let's say they stop you right about here. Okay, now you chose the cards that we were going to put in these two piles because you decided when we'd stop. Now I'm going to have you make another decision. You're going to select one of these piles, and from the pile you select, you will choose a card. Okay? They have free choice. It doesn't matter. Whichever pile you select, that is where you'll select a card. Let's say they choose this one. Free choice, doesn't matter. All right, so from this packet, I'd like you to slide out a card, any one you want. By the way, these can have been shuffled all we want to. Doesn't matter. Slide out a card and don't show it to me. I won't need to see it. And for this video, you're going to see it, of course. And I'll need you to memorize that because we won't see that for a little while. Okay, so now what I'm going to have the spectator do is we're going to lose your card. Okay? So remember it. You got it memorized. Put it back in here. If we do this, your card is now sandwiched between however many cards you decided we were going to work with there. But we're not done. You've got more decisions to make, because not only are we burying your freely chosen card in that little packet that you chose, I'm going to start doing this. And I'm going to start putting cards on top of this packet until you say stop, okay? They say stop wherever they want to say stop. Let's say it's there. Okay. So now, here's what happened. We shuffled up the cards, you shuffled up the cards, split them into two halves. You chose a half. From that, you chose a card. From that, we buried it in the card you chose. And then we buried it again in another random number of cards that you chose. But before the trick even began, I wrote down a prediction on the joker inside this deck. And what I want to do is we're going to mix up the cards again one more time. But before we do, I'm going to take out the joker. Let me see if I can find that joker, which is in here somewhere. I know I put it back in here somewhere. Where are you? Okay. I wrote down something on the face of that joker that I think will matter. But the trick's not over. Let's keep this out in full view so you know that my prediction is solid. However, we're going to mix these up again, but I'm going to do something different. What I need is I need half of these cards to be face up, half of them to be face down. So we're just going to do it this way. We'll put one face down, one face up, face down, face up, face down, face up. Remember, these are the cards you chose from the shuffled packet, from the shuffled deck, okay? We're going to go face down, face up, face down, face up. Half of them need to be face down, half of them face up. There's a reason for that. It has something to do with what I predicted would happen. I think you'll be amazed, okay? We want to go face down, face up, face down, face up. Okay, so now the cards are even more mixed up, by the way, because I pulled some from the bottom and some from the top. Some are face down, some are face up. Let's square them up a little bit to make it a little prettier. And what we have now is the two packets that were shuffled and then piled on top of each other. Then the random cards we put on top. You decided how many of those we would use. And then we just did basically an alternating face up, face down kind of a thing. So now we have this totally random selection of cards here from a completely shuffled deck. You made all the decisions. However, I did make a prediction before we began anything. I wrote on the face of the Joker. Before we even opened this deck, I wrote something down. And I'm going to show you for the first time what that says. This says, your card will be face down at number 14. What does that mean? I'll show you what it means. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's card number 14. That's what I said. Face down, 14. Do you remember your card? I believe it was a 6 of hearts. And there you go. All right, this is a really, really cool trick. And this is a combination of things. Let me get this all set up again so I can teach this to you, because this is just fun. I was looking forward to showing you this trick and making this video because I worked pretty hard on the math. In fact, this will show you how my brain works. This is my scratch pad on how I did trial and error. I'm working out the math on this. You see all this? Makes no sense? Yeah, that's what's in my brain most of the time. Anyway, this is really a very cool math trick, but I added something to it, and that was the Joker prediction. Now, let me just say, the Joker prediction is completely optional. You can do this trick without writing on Jokers or having another deck. You can just do this with a regular deck. This is totally regular shuffled deck. It's all math and it works just fine without anything else. You can just make your prediction on a piece of paper, fold it up, set it aside. That's totally fine. You can do that. However, it's a little better with the Joker thing just because that's unusual. And by using the Joker trick, which I'll teach you in a second, you can make your prediction earlier than you can if you don't. In other words, I'll show you how this works. But when you make your prediction, if I wasn't going to use the Joker method, I would have to wait to make my prediction about halfway through the trick. So I like the idea of going, oh, I'm going to make a prediction and I'm going to burn a Joker to do it. And so I do that. I'll teach you that part in a second. Let me show you the math first, okay? The Joker thing is really cool, though. Joker thing is almost original. It's kind of my idea, but I stole it, or I didn't steal it. It's inspired by a commercial trick. I can't tell you because I don't want to expose it. That works in a sort of similar way. It inspired me to make this prediction method, and so I'll teach you what I've got though. Anyway, it's totally shuffled deck. This is the easy part of the trick. What happens is when you are putting the cards down like this, it doesn't matter how many. It just matters that they're even. So you want to make sure that when they say stop, you have as many cards in this pile as this pile. That's easy to do because you just go like this. If they say stop, just make sure you stop over here. This doesn't matter, and you don't want tons of cards. Go slow. Because you got a bunch of cards to work with here yet. And so after somewhere between 5 or 10 cards, maybe 5 to 7 cards in each stack, something like that, they'll say stop, slow down if they're not. And what will happen is they're going to select a card. It doesn't matter which card they select. It doesn't matter which stack they select it from either. You can shuffle these, and as long as they take one out, and let's just do that right now. So let's say they take this one out. All that needs to happen for this part of the trick is their chosen card, and for this, we'll use the 8 of spades. You won't see it. It needs to go on top of the bottom packet, and then this packet on top of that. So it really is sandwiched between an even number of cards. That's part of the math. But here's the best part. When you tell them that you're going to start doing this, what I'm really doing is I'm counting these cards. Now I do it like this. I just start doing it first. I go like this. I'm going to start doing this, and I'm really going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in my head because I want to keep track of this. I'm going to keep doing that until you say stop. I do it again. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and you tell me when to stop. Okay. Now I don't want them to. I want them to go at least past 5. I don't want them to go too much past 10 or 15 or 20, although they can. But let's just say right now I know I have 10 cards here. The point is I want to be counting those cards without looking like I'm counting them. That's why I did it in 2 sets of 5. I say, now you tell me when to stop. And then so now we're going 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, they say stop. Now in my head, I have the number 14. And that's all I need to know. But you don't want them to know you're counting. You want this to feel completely random. It really is. It really is random. They have selected a lot of cards. But here's the cool thing. Because I know the number 14 now, all I have to do is add 2 to that number, and their card is going to end up in that position. So in other words, 14 plus 2 is 16. When this trick is over, their card is going to be face down, and it's going to be in the 16th position, because all I have to do is add 2 to that 14. Okay? So recap real quick. We split the packets into 2 even piles. They picked one, went on top of their chosen card went on top of a packet. That packet went on top of that. Then we put down cards on top of that. I counted them. I counted 14 cards, so that gives me a 16 as my prediction. Okay? Now we're done with that so far. Now at this point, if you weren't using the Joker thing, you'd have to make your prediction. You'd say your card's going to be face down, and it's going to be number 16, and have them hold that, and then you continue on with the trick. That's one way to do it. I like the Joker way better, and I'll tell you why in a second. What then happens, and what you need to do, is when you start putting the cards down, you're basically doing what's called a Klondike, except I don't like the Klondike because it looks funny. You're taking one off the top and off the bottom. I wanted a reason to do a Klondike, so I said I want cards face up, and I want them face down. So what you have to do is you're going to start with a face down card from the bottom. Your face down cards will always come from the bottom. Your face-up cards will always come from the top. You're basically doing a Klondike shuffle, except there's a reason for it. Because you say, I want half the cards face up, half the cards face down. So we're going to go face down, face up, face down, face up. And you continue on doing that, okay? Face down, come from the bottom. Face up from the top. Don't forget that. You don't want to mess this up. It will ruin the math. Okay, so we get down to face down, face up. You should end up like this. Now, remember, I said, I wrote down a prediction, face down 16, because we're going to always do it this way. And here's what happens. The 16th card, since they're even cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 is what I will have predicted. It was face down, and it was, in fact, the card they originally chose. That just works. That's the math. If you want to figure out the algebraic equation on that, you're welcome to. If you do what I just said, it'll just work, okay? So you can do that without the Joker part of the trick. Again, the 2 even piles. They freely select a card, put it on top of one of the packets, put the other packet on top. You then seemingly put down a random number of cards. You're secretly counting them. Whatever you end up with, add 2. You can make your prediction at that point. Then you can do the Klondike. Face down from the bottom, face up from the top. Face down from the bottom, face up from the top. You'll end up like this. Your prediction will be their face down card in that position. Okay? That's that part. Now let me show you the Joker part. This is kind of fun. You could use this principle for a lot of predictions. But here's what I did. And I'll tell you why I did it this way here in a second. But what I have here is quite a setup. This is about 26 random regular cards. I've also got the 2 Jokers here in this deck. And then I got a whole bunch of cards in order that have different predictions on them. Your card will be face down number 7. Your card will be face down number 8. Your card will be face down number 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I happen to go all the way up to number 31 just to be safe. I start with a 7 because I know that they're never going to be under that because of the way I control how many cards I end up putting down. In that last stack, I put down at least 5 before I tell them they're going to stop me. So that puts me at least, plus 2, puts me at least at the 7. So that's my first joker. So I took a bunch of black and white jokers. I wrote with a blue Sharpie. And I put them in the deck like this, like this, like this, and like this. Ready to go. When I first started, I was showing the deck, so it just looks like I have a regular deck of cards. And everybody knows there's 2 jokers. There's a little psychology in here. So if I go and I take out, oh, I got to find the jokers. Oh, here they are. And I take out both jokers, we know that's all there is in a deck. And if I take one of them, we know there's only one black and white joker. I don't have to say that. That's just, we can assume that because that's logical. And then I pretend to write on this. This, by the way, doesn't write. This is a dried out blue Sharpie. I know I'm getting kind of anal about this, but it's really a good way to do it because you can actually write on the card. And it's kind of fun because I'm not, I'm writing on the card and nothing's happening. But I'll sit there and do that. I even have done this trick and put a little dot of blue on my thumb. Like I got some of the ink on my thumb if you really want to get creative about it and go, I got to try and keep the ink off my finger. And then, I'll very carefully put this back. Try not to get the ink on my hands. You don't want to show that. And then while I'm holding this and talking and blowing on it, this just solidifies the fact that what we're doing is real. I burned a joker. I'm ruining a joker for you just for this great trick. And so let's put it in. Doesn't matter where I put it in because obviously it's the blank one. Didn't write on it at all. And I go like this. Now, what I do is put the deck back in the box to keep it kind of for safekeeping. And I'll even do this and say, okay, so you keep an eye on it. At that point, we can now begin the trick. So we haven't even taken the deck out of the box yet. That's what I like about using the joker. I haven't really made a prediction. All I did was pretend to make a prediction, but I've got one ready to go because I've got all those pre-made jokers. So just by adding that, I can do the prediction long before we do the trick, right? That's when we then say, okay, prediction set, take the cards out of the box, and we begin the trick. And we go through that whole rigmarole, and then we get to the part where we're going to do the Klondike. And right before we do the Klondike, say, you know what? We're going to shuffle it one more time, but I want you to see this prediction. That's not true. What I'm really doing is I'm going to go get the right one, because when I get to the Klondike section of the trick, I already know what number I need to get. So if it was 16, for example, joker number 16, I'm going to say, let's see, where was that joker? I'm simply looking for the one that has the 16 on it and putting these away. See, now would you hold on to that? Okay, remember I made that prediction before the trick even began. And now here we are, we're going to shuffle them up again. And of course this shuffle is what really puts the card into the 16th position. Face down, face up, etc., etc. And what you'll end up with is what we had. Their card, in this case 16th, always face down and at the number you predicted. All right. I'm out of breath because that is an exciting trick, fun to do. I really love doing this trick and really look forward to showing it to you because I think you have a lot of fun with it. You guys have a lot of good ideas. I'm just combining kind of an old math trick. I did a lot of experimenting on the 2 piles, whether they should be odd or even. What happens when they're odd even? It doesn't matter. The 2 piles at first need to be equal. And then however many cards you put on top of that, you add 2, do the Klondike, and you're golden. All right, that is a great joker prediction trick if you want to use a joker. I hope you have a lot of fun with it.